A handler's confession. This was anomalously authored, although it is line with, or part of, a larger whole organization that is known to be violent. They are inflicting harm and hardship on other human beings, which is an understatement. Their organization also acts as a front line, or hand in society, that has at its core human experimentation. Perhaps you saw them operating in our communities and could not identify it. If you have information, it would be gratefully accepted, and held private. Please do respond. If possible, disseminate widely everywhere. So here it goes. I was eventually offered a place in the Syndicate. The Syndicate was presented to me as a kind of fraternity, a Masonic-like mutual profit organization with strong police-like overtones. I was told that I was helping to build a better society. However, I have never been given any of the advancement opportunities I was promised. The advancement system of the Syndicate is a slippery slope. They make you give up your security privileges, so eventually all of your communications are watched, which is why I composed this email offline where they cannot see me, and sent it via an internet cafe, and you have to attend meeting after meeting of mind-numbing pledges and chants. The premise is that if you sign contracts giving up personal liberties for the group, and you are genuinely innocent, then you will be promoted. I have only been promoted once, to the rank of manager, and I don't feel as if it is a rewarding experience. Worse, you are never allowed to leave because they think you will give away secrets. Leaving is only permissible with a special contract that permits the Syndicate to destroy your credibility. Usually they make sure that the most attention any secrets that you reveal get is from crackpot UFO magazines, or diagnose you with schizophrenia. There are other problems. If you have children, you have to send them to education in Syndicate-owned schools. If you have a wife, you have to report on her, allow her to be spied upon, and be prepared to target her if they decide to turn her into a targeted individual. The official compensation policy is that you will get to keep the children if she lodges a divorce. However, you won't get to keep most of her material goods. They only want her to lose in the divorce proceedings so she gets nothing. Not so the husband gets anything. So the Syndicate takes it back as a tithe. I suppose I should introduce the Syndicate in a little more detail. I'm still not sure precisely what it is trying to do. To everyday citizens, it presents itself as a group trying to monitor terrorists, or any other kind of flavor of the month undesirables like gays, communists, witches, and drive them out. To other people, it is a Rotary Club Chamber of Commerce type operation. To others still, the most twisted conspiratorial minds, it is an organization that pulls the strings behind everything. To the Puritan, it is a cleansing force. To the deviant, it is a gang of other deviants where everything is permissible. It is the Syndicate to everyone, though I don't know the extent of what it owns. I do, however, know a great deal about the targeting process. When we get targets, we divide them into 4 categories: mercenary, practice, planning, and enemy. Mercenary targets are bought by outside parties. We advertise under a range of guises, from ads by individuals claiming to be able to kidnap people, to practical jokers. Some groups, like big corporations and some governments, the government of XXXXXX pays us to keep some people busy. So do the XXXXXXS when they have too many people protesting, wailing. Know fully well what sort of services we do, so we don't really hide them. We get a lot of money from them, but we can still muster up a fair bit if worse comes to worst. It's pretty much a mafia new world order. You'd be surprised at how much money we can get from crime. The organization pretends to be good. I don't mean that we go out robbing people, but we can outsource money from biker gangs, skinheads, drug dealers pretty easily. Our Syndicate gets a lot of support from people in rough areas like Detroit and New York City, because there are areas with a lot of people in genuine need, who would leap at the thought of fighting back at the criminals. We can always find allies to pressure the criminal portions of society. Of course, they are only pressuring them into giving us money, but it is a pretty cozy arrangement. The second type of target is the practice target. We use them to train mobs. The targets do not actually change, because we do not want too many people fighting back at us. But we do rotate trainees between practice targets. This stops the person seeing the same people every time there is a street show. Then there are planning targets. These are selected by the Syndicate for some reason or other but are not paid for by mercenaries. You can usually tell the difference between planning and practice targets because they send people with experience after them. They are still chosen by the same people, though. The practice ones are, of course, chosen for their timidity. I do not know how the planning ones are chosen. Enemy targets are people that decide they have had enough and turn against us. Since they protest and try to foil our plans, which, considering that our jobs are already nervy, it's a real pain in the ass for us. So we try to really give them hell. The best way, of course, is through the psychiatrists. My supervisor used to say that the Soviets had it right with sluggishly progressing schizophrenia. Some people up top are proposing that we just kill them and have them declared natural causes or accidental by the coroner. It is not likely to happen, though. Anyway, I should introduce the main branches of the syndicate. Each branch recruits its own. Everybody is a member of one of the branches instead of people just joining a common pool. This keeps the work separate and stops people from finding stuff out that they should not. My branch is the Scripting, Observation, and Execution Bureau, or the theater as it is popularly known. By execution, I mean the execution of orders, not the other kind. We do the work that the majority of people with any knowledge of gangstalking will be familiar with, pestering and scripting minor incidents. The theater is actually divided into two sub-branches, scripting orchestration officers or playwrights as they call themselves and field officers or thespians as we call ourselves. We have the most variety in our recruits. Popular sources are the police, the fire department, the zoo, and technicians of any kind, but we recruit from all places. Most members are neighborhood watch types, not official neighborhood watch, but concerned people. Ironically, we make sure that we do a lot of good, just to get some credibility. Then there is the Bureau of Authority. They are called the money bags. They don't actually control the syndicate, but they have all the right jobs and connections. So, a judge might have control over the judicial process, but he will answer to a superior in the syndicate. Psychiatrists belong here too. The moneybags are so called because they raise a lot of the money. It would be suspicious if big corporations funded groups like this, but they can invest money into front groups, and the majority of the syndicate's work is done through completely legitimate fronts. We can tap phone lines and access people's records from behind government agencies. Usually, these are the guys that go after enemy targets. Normally, harassment is organized under several action policies if a target is not an enemy. A standard policy is enforced. Low-level organizers, the aforementioned playwrights, play around with the target for a while and rotate crews. When a target is an enemy, the policy does not immediately change, but orders filter down from high-level organizers, usually the Supreme Council, which direct thespians to provoke the target or a similar action, and moneybags to crack down on them once they get in the way of the system. This is called mincing, because the thespians lure the meat by making it complain or fight back into the mincer. Also known as the corrupt legal system, the Department of Justice. We specialize in entrapment. The Bureau also protects members of the syndicate. Normally, in a court case, psych examination or similar situation where a syndicate member is at the mercy of a moneybag, a special order arrives from above telling the moneybag to take it easy on the guy and let him off scot-free. The order is always printed in blue, on fancy cherry blossom paper, but in a very official border font. Cherrying is the name for this secret process. The Bureau of Authority has a very organized system of lawyers, judges, medical officers, etc. Whenever you are committing a crime for the good of the syndicate, you must always report your location. Then they send Cousin Nancy. This is an affectionate term for the police in the employment of the syndicate that they send to arrest you instead of non-syndicate cops. So you can go straight through the appropriate channels without anything suspicious being seen, to tell you and arrest you the moment somebody calls 911. They all follow a minimalist strategy though. For example, the mayor of XXXXX isn't a member of the syndicate, but several of his advisors and aides are. This way we can get laws passed in a discreet manner, and if a high-profile figure is targeted, our hold on an organization does not loosen. We try to arrange elections of mayors that are not too headstrong. Though the government is mainly used as a minor nuisance, we prefer the courts for most activities. The Bureau of Technology Field or BOTF is the group in charge of the electrical equipment. They work alongside us thespians and gaffer the targets by giving them the usual fatigue, headaches, medical problems. These directed energy weapons come from Raytheon and Lockheed Martin. They say they are non-lethal, but they are extremely harmful. They are murdering people slowly. An insider neurologist told me once that neuroweapons and directed energy torture is worse than death. The millimeter waves penetrate walls or any surface and can reach a target from miles away. They also have apps they use which are used to track the targets and use Bluetooth to turn on the implants that corrupt doctors have placed in each target. Each target is microchipped. This was done legally in 2016 by Barack Obama's Brain Initiative program. They have been chipping and torturing people since the 1980s. They can also destroy equipment, screw up televisions, the works. I think they are particularly sadistic. Different crews use different techs, but they are all unpleasant. Smartphones are the usual preference along with the directed energy weapons given to certain crews with a higher security clearance from the FBI, CIA and friends. The incapacitators come in a lot of different forms. There are ones that come as a light bulb that slowly gives people eye strain and makes them tired. You can fit some in computer TV monitors and the glare irritates people. I have heard they are even building fridge magnets with electronic devices in them. That is not the extent of the BOTF machinery. Because people are not aware, it allows those engaged in inflicting the harm to be reckless of any short, long, or lethal effects inflicted on their victims. These things touch on what is available in society, although the sophistication cannot be underestimated. The sophistication, and their technologies in general, may become recognizable when it is known that it exists, and how affected their victims are. This by no means is typified by something as simple as lights, flashlight size, that change color too fast for the eyes to pick up, causing intracranial pressure, causing headaches, to nausea, such as LED incapacitators. Using this type of technology oversimplifies, but demonstrates the peril that citizens at large, or anybody, is in that is not aware, before, or when you first become aware how out there these technologies seem. This is why they spend so much time and energy keeping it below the awareness thresholds of those who would scrutinize their behavior and what they are engaged in, as well as society in general. This site attempts to convey how common it is, the mechanisms they have in place, as well as building an awareness foundation of the technologies. This awareness foundation can be used not only to grasp things that would have gone undetected, but as importantly enable someone to continue to build on this foundation, including networking through those of us who are attempting to get the foundation information through the awareness barrier they have in place. They manufacture pills that can cause deformities in the womb, as well as miscarriage, and give them to women in their food. They can fake HIV/AIDS so the test shows up positive the first time, but subsequent tests show that it was a false positive. This faux HIV can be put in the target's food. They usually give the target a few health scares, but they do not like to physically hurt anyone. One field tech I knew had a penchant for giving people syphilis. They could treat it easily enough with penicillin, and the Syndicate always made sure that it would be diagnosed on time, but it showed up on the target's permanent records for medical treatment. They also conduct extensive testing without the target's knowledge. One targeted individual we were monitoring was found to have a malignant tumor, not our doing. They cause many types of cancers and tumors due to how we are affected on a cellular level. He wasn't experiencing any of the symptoms, so we gave him some through the incapacitators and had a few of his friends warn him about cancer. He had a test done, and just for fun, we had the doctor tell him how dangerous it could be and how he could die soon. We gave him a 6-month waiting period and told him that by then the tumor could progress so far that it could never be removed. That's a lie. Of course, our bot, had it out in a jiffy by sending one of their brain surgeons to do the job, but it is the fear that counts. The Bureau of Technology Communications monitors the target's phone calls, emails, and absolutely everything else. They tend to recruit from the National Archives, Census Taker's Office, Records Office, credit card companies, Medicare, insurance, etc. They are the logistics branch. As I said, most of the syndicate's work is done from within legitimate areas. What the BOTC does very often is send a receptionist applicant over to a credit card company or government agency pretending she knows nothing about hacking computers or accessing records. We pull a few strings and she is in. She then steals information while nobody is looking. A few old-timers like to have 100% control over the records farm, but most prefer the minimalist approach. This is the bureau that gives out information and orders to everybody else, and also acts as a communications post for the whole syndicate. The Supreme Council delivers orders through them. Outside orders are also taken in through the BOTC, which advertises as a mercenary group through certain channels. The Bureau of Alliances, or Trading Partners, handles our allies. The only other gang-stalking group in this country is a West Coast conservative organization called the Confederacy. Very often they try to move into our area, so we have to hold them back, diplomatically or otherwise. However, we have contracts with secret societies whereby we handle their targets when they move into our area of operation. The other groups pay for their targets to be handled while they travel here. We make millions of dollars this way. Finally, the Supreme Council controls the entire operation. I have no idea who they are, except that they have a fancy name instead of being a bureau. They do not recruit their own men. They promote from the other departments. Most of them seem to be wealthy individuals with inheritances that manage to maintain their fortunes from investments. Not one is a CEO, judge, or politician. They are all just old money family types that live far away from society and seem unusually lucky with their money, without a doubt through insider trading. Despite this, they have a lot of spiffy technology. They have a kind of reverse incapacitator that improves their health and increases their performance. Most of them look incredibly young for their age. We don't see them much, though. Often, an audience with one of them is a kind of reward for good service. There are also ranks in our syndicate. The lowest members are pawns. They are not technically members, because there is no permanent service contract and they do not know they are working for us. They take orders from us but are not expected to attend meetings. We call our pawns concerned citizens. The Authority Bureau has office boys or secretaries. The BOTF has lab rats who very often are paid volunteers for experiments, or people who do not know what they are testing. The BOTC has spelunkers. The BOR has travel agents. Unfortunately, we are not obligated to give protection to any of these people. So, we can give a vet an order to put down a dog, without telling him that it is not consented to by the owner, and he will do the job and get sued without us giving him legal protection. A lot of our street theater is done by people that do not even know they are part of a syndicate. They think they are a grassroots movement and do not know that there are other people harassing the target. The BOTC recruits people that think they are joining an elite hacker groups on the internet, or people that think that they are just following orders from the archives. The BOT does 80% of its research at legitimate agencies like Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Johnson & Johnson and its other drug companies. The task of pawns is to think that what they are doing is either normal and routine, or criminal in an individual isolated manner. Recruits, however, are aware of a conspiracy. However, they still remain at a misinformed level. We simultaneously maintain teams of religious actors and punk actors. A person might join us thinking he is going to clean up the community. Another person might join us thinking he is going to cause trouble and anarchy. And they can go about their merry ways. We even deliver information to them in different ways. To the religious ones, it is wrapped up in prophecy and revelation. To the punks, it is given a communist candy coating. However, they are all aware that the group is large. They are also aware of a mutual benefit aspect to the operation. Only greedy, unidealistic people get beyond the recruit rank. All the bureaus wrap themselves up in different colors. The moneybags pretend to be a secret club for the elite, and many of them are indeed quite powerful and wealthy, second only to the Supreme Council. The BOT-F claims to be a humane research agency, or a means by which scientists can resist corporate greed, though it still attracts deviants. The BOTC is conspiratorially minded, and pretends to be a group searching for the secrets of the Illuminati or the Illuminati themselves. The BOA claims to be a contract agency, travelers club, or accounting firm. Recruits perform tasks that they know are illegal, or immoral, but they still generally believe that they are doing it for a reason. Managers like me come above the recruits and do some actual organization, whether leading a crew to a street theater match or planning an attack. Generally, managers know everything about the syndicate except what its goal is. Most are greedy enough to accept that it is not a morally motivated group. We also engage in communication with other bureaus to coordinate our activities. Different terms are used for different MOs. The theater has playwrights and leading roles. The Moneybags have success stories. The BOTF has research directors. The BOTC has information awareness officers. The BOA has arrangers. Finally, a rare few are promoted to the Supreme Council. Here is a glossary of terms. Contract. ATI or target. This is the official term, used as enemy contract or planning contract. Enemy contract is often referred to as hostile contract. Cherrying. Getting out of a legal tangle through the syndicate's intervention. Nipple kisser. A deviant recruit. Recruited because of a desire for sadism. Holy poly. A religious Puritan recruit. The effect. The fact that greedy and sadistic recruits are selected for managing jobs more readily than anybody with integrity. FBG is a fertile breeding ground. A crew of nipple kissers. Based on the idea that they are a fertile breeding ground for future managers. Mincing. Luring a target into the legal system. Defacing. Making faces at a contract, or otherwise intimidating them. Suicide syndrome. Having a target so socially unpredictable and badly off that you cannot really think of many ways to make their life much worse. Rainbow shock. The fact that you have to act nice to the rest of the public immediately after you have stopped defacing a contract. Break a leg job. A particularly hostile attack against a contract, or a plan which involves approaching the target and talking to them. Security. A crew that is particularly overt in its stalking and gets caught too often. In other words, it has to be cherried all the time. Crew. A unit of recruits and pawns under a single MO. In other words, a group of gang stalkers. Zapperating. Using directed energy weapons to affect the health of a target. Unchained. Uncovered. Authorities that are not pawns or recruits. Covered. A member of the public that is under the control of the syndicate, as a pawn. Public face. A recruit or manager's official life outside of the syndicate. Private life. A syndicate member's activities with the syndicate. FGGNN. A device that affects the sleeping patterns, stress, fatigue, headaches of a contract. Voodoo. The means of acting hostile to a target. Pointing. Staring. etc. Lomosexual. A syndicate member with a knack for photography. There's a lomo in every crew. Nyankia. Not your usual nipple kissing incapacitator asshole. The U is pronounced as the OO in moon. Refers to a particularly sadistic or deviant. BOTF member. Boner. Another word for an enemy target. Yellow meat. Criminals. As opposed to concerned citizens. Refers to criminals recruited into the syndicate. They are insane and somebody is to run them over or chase them with a car if told to. Gigolo bop. To make sexual advances to an unattractive target. Term mainly used by nipple kisser deviants. Canceling. Causing a miscarriage. Crash test dummy. A practice target. Hang job. The experience of having a target that one has enjoyed tormenting suddenly commit suicide. Term used mainly by nipple kissers Nyankius. Cousin Nancy. A police unit sent to tail a crew and arrest them before an unchained police unit can do it. Necktie. A death threat made with no intention of it being carried out. General Leeing. Randomly chasing after a target and threatening to rape them before immediately running away. Cousin Nancy Law. A police department that is thoroughly under the syndicate's control. The good old gang at the office. The syndicate. The official name of the organization. Please spread this information widely.